Hello and welcome to Perspectives. It's been a while since I've done live, so I'm a bit rusty, if I may say. Eid Mubarak to all of you. It's the day after Eid. But we did some shows for Eid, and one of my friends who was hosting the show asked me about how I'm feeling about Eid. And I got into this very pensive and a very depressive rant, which I must apologize for. The show, I think, aired last night and the night before. But when I was planning tonight's show, in my mind, I went back into the same rant. When I look around me, I see children being killed in football grounds. I see my policemen being killed needlessly. I see trains being stopped and people pulled out and murdered. I see people being killed on the streets. I see atrocities happening around me for no reason. And then on the other side, I see our neighbor, India, needlessly being provocative, provoking aggression, provoking a situation which is completely unnecessary. And the worst of all, when I look at the world, when I listen to the murmurs coming out of the world, I hear Pakistan in synonymity with terrorism. I hear Pakistan as the center of terrorism. I hear Pakistan being put together with the birthplace and the propagator of terrorism. And that saddens me, because in all the things I have talked about in the past 4 or 5 minutes, Pakistan is not the perpetrator of terrorism. Pakistan is a victim of terrorism. And unfortunately, the world fails to realize that. The world fails to see the price Pakistan is paying on its streets, the price Pakistan is paying in its homes, the price Pakistanis are paying in their lives and their families. Thousands and thousands of families and households have been broken in the past few years. And for what? I will not go into the questioning of whose war it is. It's everyone's war. It's the world's war. If terrorism is happening anywhere in this world, the whole world is responsible and the whole world is affected. It's not just one region, one city, one continent. Everyone. And I will add, this is nothing to do with religion. This is nothing to do with ethnicity, language, origin, anything. This is just pure, blatant, global, sheer terrorism. But that's the negative side of it. I have tonight invited a few friends of mine, and I would like them to shed a different light on this great celebration of love, peace, and harmony called Eid. A look back at Ramadan, how we spent that. A portrayal of Ramadan, the Eid, and the price Pakistan is paying for the world. My guests on my far right, dear friend, Mr. Mohsin Sayeed. Mohsin, thank you very much for being here. Another very dear friend of mine on my right, Mr. Faisal Kapadia. Thank you again, Faisal. But I don't even know how to introduce these gentlemen, because they have such a strong mark of their own. They're so multifaceted. Mohsin really is I know him to be fashion journalist, gone, I don't know, in so many directions. Faisal Kapadia is really a businessman, gone into social media, blogging, God knows what. So I won't even try that. On my left, another friend, Ms. Narjis Haider, who's a manager training at Beacon House School System. Narjis, thank you very much for being here. Another dear friend, Ms. Aisha Jabeen, who's a media communications professional. Aisha, thank you very much for being here. And on my far left, Ms. Fariha Bhanji, who's a senior editor of Fashion Collection. Thank you very much for taking the time out. Mohsin, let's start with you. I've said what I wanted to say in the opening. How would you take it from there?
You're right. This Eid was heavy, because we had so many deaths on our border, in our cities, in our playgrounds, everywhere. However, I might sound cliched, but cliches deliver. So I have to say this. This is how we celebrated Eid. I celebrated Eid, the whole family, and I learned it from my mother, actually, that she said that we don't know what future our children are going to have. Let's give them as much happiness as we can today. And this goes for not just my children in my household, no, the whole country. We don't know what kind of world they'll grow up in, they'll find when they're grown up. Let's give them a lot of happiness as much as we can within our
And that's what
means.
really Eid is about.
And Eid is about, and love. Because I feel that these two things are very, very strong weapons against all kinds of darkness, atrocities. When you're happy, when you're internally, you're happy, you're loved, you're very, very strong. And you can fight any kind of evil.
I think you made a strong point because
Faisal, one more thing I'd like to say. If everyone is familiar with Harry Potter series. Harry Potter's mother's love, Lily Potter's love, empowered him to fight the Dark Lord. And it always protected him, not only protected him, but enabled him to protect his whole community. Sounds like filmy, cinematic, or very melodramatic, but you look at people, those who've been loved have always been very strong to take on all sorts of evil.
I agree with you. And I think what you've said it very well. What these enemies of the world, I wouldn't even say Pakistan enemies of the world, what they want is they want to spread this darkness.
They're dementors. Again, I go back to Harry Potter.
Exactly.
They suck happiness out of you.
So even when we question why are people happy or look at all this misery, but you're right, but that happiness will actually overcome that misery.
And those people who are spreading misery are the unhappy souls.
And they will fail in their
And they will eventually, because they're not armed.
Fariha, how would you please?
You know, when out of all this darkness, a ray of light is all, you know, when you actually spread happiness to all these people who are going through so much. It's such a nice point because, you know, Eid has been, this time I think Eid has been really gloomy because, you know, our heart was bleeding because of this atrocities in the city and overall in the Pakistan. But yes, we can spread happiness on these occasions and otherwise. And it is a chance to give, you know, some nice happy time to all these people who are actually going through a lot.
And then it's also an opportunity to prove our resilience that, you know,
Exactly.
we will not be beaten down.
And Faisal, I must say that on this Eid, I've noticed that people have really, you know, felt. I mean, normally it was like that, 3 people killed, 4 people killed, or 10 people killed. But overall in Pakistan, whether it's floods, whether it's bomb blasts and other, you know, mishappenings, but this time people really felt, you know, that our country is really going towards darkness, and then they want, you know, for certain, you know, then they go for certain charities and how to, you know, actually make their heart feel good for such people, and you know, this is a good step, I guess.
Okay, Fari mentioned charity and how to make yourself feel good about what's happening. Faisal, I'd like you to comment because you have a strong social voice, social media voice. You have a strong voice. You comment on a lot of things. I personally believe no amount of charity, no amount of help, no amount of support, no amount of saying I don't feel your pain. You know, if you've suffered, I don't feel your pain. I can just cliche. What we can do is raise our voices. And I was just talking to my wife last night and saying, you know, what we do? I said, if we are collectively silent and we're very selectively vocal. Do you think that's a problem?
I think the main advantage this nation has, first of all, I'd like to point that out, is our resilience. Okay, crazy inflation, things going all around, messed up around us. Pakistan, people say the train wreck in slow motion. Yet here we are, we go on day by day, and we're here to stay, and we're not going away. And that is more than enough reason to me to celebrate Eid and celebrate our resilience. I'll just give you another example. You know, I know you don't believe in this, but a few friends of ours, we started a small thing called Ration for PK at the start of Ramzan. Our goal was to get 100 families ration for the month. Would you believe we collected enough money online to get ration for 1,350
Mashallah.
in the month of Ramzan? So, I mean, you have to give credit to this nation, and you have to give credit to the people of this nation for going on no matter what. Just yesterday, I was at Dolman Mall having lunch with my family, and in the parking lot, there were like rounds of people doing that cloth wala dance, and you know they were having fun with their families. And it's just amazing to see. I mean, any other nation with the amount of problems that we do would have just staggered and broken down. Yet we go on, despite all odds. And if that's not reason enough to celebrate
the world.
Yes.
Not the world that's against us.
Yes.
If the world wants to look at us through that lens,
Okay.
there's a big if.
Okay, hold that thought. I want to come to that. That's exactly where I want to come. Let's hold that thought. One correction. I'm not against that. I'm not against charity. I'm not against sharing.
Yeah, I know, but you believe that it should be done through the system and not outside.
But that's everyone's prerogative. But my point is, that is what we. That's just ointment for the wound. That does not take away the bigger problem.
Yes,
unfortunately,
but it's something.
Oh, absolutely. No, that is mandatory, and you have to do it. And we have to. If you're hurting right now, I have to give you medication, but I have to take away the problem, the larger problem.
Yeah.
And we, unfortunately, as I mentioned, we do that, but we forget to do the larger thing, because we get this little feel-good feeling, and then we stop at that. I've done my due.
No,
and when it comes to larger action,
and more than larger action, which is speaking up against atrocities, against injustice, against all sorts of unfairness done to people, and that's speaking up. I call it the larger part.
Sure.
Secondly, we do it in spurts. We forget that nature's positive forces are feeble but constant.
Okay.
Gravitational.
Again, I made a note. I'm going to come back to that. Aisha, how would you add to this?
I agree with Mohsin just said, and that's the main issue. If there is, say, something happened on Eid, so we all were somber about it. You know, we were talking in our living rooms. We were talking, and we were saying, "Okay, this is not right, and we should not be too haughty about Eid. You know, we should remember the other people and all that." But what about throughout the year? I didn't celebrate Eid, Faisal. Although I understand, as a Muslim, we are told that Eid is a gift from God after your 1 month of fasting. But to me, if I find out that little boys are killed, or if I wake up to see in an Imam Bargar there was a suicide bomber, though he was shot down,
or a mosque was being attacked.
or a mosque was being attacked, irrespective, any religion, any race, it makes me sad. I didn't go. I didn't put any mehndi on. I didn't celebrate it.
Sort of
I just stayed inside the house.
Pulls you back.
Yeah, if people did come to me, they wished me Eid, I wished them back. But I openly said this to all my friends, even online, elsewhere. We need to now talk about this. And you cannot just sort of, like you said, put an ointment and forget about it for later on. Because that's not happening anymore.
We need to come together and hold.
We need to come together now, and we need to actually do something about it.
We need to have a sustained voice.
Even funerals are not spared, Faisal. I mean, this is the height of.
Well,
I don't know.
That's actually an old tactic. This has been happening for many, many years.
But just imagine.
Well, the funerals are because you have an attack, then you have the funeral, and then you just. Narjis, how would you add?
I just feel that for me, the bigger concern is the next generation, the generation that's growing up with getting up in the morning and seeing on the news, and like I see my son, he says, okay, where was the blast? So because this generation, to them, a blast is a routine. There's no day that passes by that they don't see a blast somewhere in Pakistan on TV. If not Pakistan, look at the situation in the Middle East. So it's not just in Pakistan. Whichever channel you're going to turn on, whether it's CNN, whether it's Al Jazeera, they're going to be talking about some country and violence, whether it's Egypt, whether it's Syria, whether it's Lebanon. And all kinds of natural disasters like the flooding in Europe or Canada. Those are countries where you never heard that such catastrophic calamities took place. But I feel that overall, global warming is another issue that's a result of all this violence, because where is all this bombs leading to? They're leading to global warming. And the way lives of people are being impacted in the agricultural part of the country. Nobody's talking about that because all of
shortages to come.
Because right after the Chari blast, when they tested in Pakistan, they saw massive deterioration in the crops in Balochistan, which nobody talks about.
In that little area.
Yes. So there is the other side of violence as well, which is how it's affecting nature. It is affecting us mentally and physically, but eventually the lives of these children who are going to grow up.
When you're mentioning agricultural catastrophe which is being unleashed upon our agricultural sector, and Monsanto is here. Monsanto GM food is here. It is eyeing on our crops. It was here back in 99 to 98 and 2000 because they were given some farmlands to conduct experiments, and now they're here. And Monsanto actually, it's genetically modified food they work on, and seeds. They work on seeds and seeds which commit suicide. After harvesting, they commit suicide. Traditionally, organic farming, the farmer saves some seeds for refarming. So yes, she's right. All sorts of catastrophes are.
Faisal, you hoping to add something? I see on your face.
No, I mean, I believe whatever he's saying is absolutely correct. There are tens of thousands of problems in this world, in this country. For God's sake, I got mugged 2 days before. There was a gun to my head. They took my phone. They took my wallet. They basically, and for me to take my phone away is basically taking my digital life away. You know how it is. I was in a data nightmare for 4 days. Am I going to stop? No. We don't stop. The world will continue to have problems. There's going to be muggings in every major city in the world. There's going to be food shortages. There's going to be DNA nightmares, whatever. You just don't.
It's a global problem.
Yes. We have to understand that this is just not what you said in the beginning. This is just not happening to us. It's happening everywhere now.
But some problems we bring, inflict upon ourselves, like Monsanto. It will be adding to our food insecurity.
No, I would not.
Well, terrorism is beyond our control. Okay?
Well, then there's a counter argument that it can add to your food supply.
No, it can't. It can't. Yes, Bangladesh threw out Monsanto. World over, it's been proven wherever Monsanto went, Monsanto destroyed the agricultural system, indigenous agricultural system.
Okay, but that's fine. Maybe,
so what I was trying to say, Faisal, that you're right. We do not speak up. Again,
why don't we do?
We don't.
There are
how many people do you hear? For instance, I go back to Bangladesh throughout Monsanto. They were up in the.
But Mohsin, that's just one thing.
That's just one thing. As one example.
Just say about it, and nothing is done about that.
As a collective.
As a collective, we do.
I was personally very against. Now I'm willing to say it on TV. Was very against the Shia genocide movement. Because I said take the word Shia out of it. And make it Pakistan. Because see, my point, that was a fantastic movement, a lot of pressure.
Yeah, it went away then.
Because it was associated to a segment of the society.
But you understand that was one community or one sect which is being threatened to be continuously and wiped out.
I'm using that as an example.
But you're right.
But then we can tag police genocide.
Of course, police genocide. They're dying.
So how many tags? So how many tags will you create? The thing is, the world needs to.
Increasing and increasing.
My purpose of this sitting is I need the world to realize that it may be happening in our segments, but overall the whole society
is suffering
in Pakistan is suffering, and we're paying this very heavy price.
And yet we are branded as terrorists.
And what you said earlier with Jabeen note. Does the world want to see this side?
No, the world doesn't want to see, because I often see a Gora journalist, Gora media. I know what I'm trying to say.
But they're doing their job.
No, they're doing. Then there are some people who land here, who investigate, who sniff good stories.
Sure.
I will give you Metro's correspondent Elizabeth Brown.
So it's an individual.
She flashed those happy stories. Those good stories.
There are a lot of people writing fantastic stories.
And Stephen Skeet, for instance. And then there are people, because bad news sells fast and bad news sells is more expensive.
Yeah.
It gets you more money.
You're talking about other people who are writing poorly or better. But the tangent I want to take in, and maybe Faisal, you can pick it up from here, is they're saying what they're saying. Mohsin questions, do they want to see it? My question is, are we showing enough good?
We're not. Very bad marketers.
We're extremely negative.
We are very bad marketers.
Protecting all the good that's happening in Pakistan. And we do not bring out the good stuff. We don't stash it out every day.
It's unfashionable to say there's good. It's like, where's the good?
Aisha, there is good everywhere. Okay, you just need to look at it, and it's there. But we look at we don't want to. I don't understand what we do, but there's so many good and happy stories.
We're just negative as a nation.
Is that it? Is that it?
It's easy to talk about,
is that
negative things and make out a gossip out of it.
It's very easy to criticize.
Very easy to criticize,
The other day, I came across a story which somebody shared on Facebook about the Karachi Stock Exchange performing at the top 3 in the world.
Yeah.
So I thought I should share that because at least something positive should go around on the internet, because it was news to me that amidst all of this violence and genocide, there is the stock exchange which is performing, and none of the top stock exchanges have reached.
And how many people retweeted that news?
Many, because while I was there on my phone, I kept getting the beep, and so many people managed to share it within 1 hour.
We read the story that Pakistan has got an Oscar committee now.
Yeah.
I think it's...
On the stock exchange, like you just mentioned here, that while the last government was going, there were skeptics saying, oh, wait till the government goes, the stock exchange is going to crash. It actually kept the upward trend. You know?
No, for instance, that story,
that's also not
the story.
If you had a peaceful transition as well.
Yeah, some people were really hopeful that the next government would really change the, everything.
It happened overnight.
I don't think
that cannot. And I have to say, now let's look at things. They have started.
I need to take a short break. When we come back, hold that piece. Hold that thought. We'll just start from you. And I also want to talk about, are we showing the larger action? We do things in spurts. I've got all these notes. A sustained voice, and it was mentioned, word about the next generation. What are we going to do, and what are we planning to do that will solve these problems for the next generation? And mind you, it's not just the next generation. I think there's a lot of next generation in this room as well. Let's take a short break. Excusing myself. Thank you for staying with us. You're watching Perspectives. We're going to do a little lovely discussion here. You said we're negative. Mohsin, I'd like to start with what you were saying, and also I want to add a discussion here. Why are we so uncomfortable with good news? What's happened to us? If there's something good, if there's good news, you're like, oh, there's something wrong with it. Why?
I tell you why. So long as the good news belongs to us, it's about us. We are very happy. If it belongs to you, I'm not happy.
Us meaning you and me, not the country,
exactly.
Individual.
Yes. So the sense of being a nation, a collective sense of pride is missing.
Collective gain.
Collective. The word collective. We are collectively negative, but not collectively
Individually positive.
Individually positive. For instance, I gave you an example of this today's story in newspaper about Pakistan has an Oscar committee after 45 years, and which is a big thing. It got approved by the Academy. There's one Mr. Shahzad Nawaz, he has problems with it.
No names, please.
All right. And then one Mr. Falana Falana, Mr. Falana Falana.
Would you stop?
Wrote the story.
Thou shalt not.
All right. Wrote the story saying many in the industry have an issue with that committee. What many? Just one Mr. Falana Falana. I mean, what? We have an Oscar committee, fine, even if it's somebody's individual agenda or whatever, 20 years later, 15 years later, when we'll be there, nobody remembers what
Also,
the
what
agenda
15?
was.
Next summer, nobody would remember.
Exactly. No, I'm saying next summer.
Next month.
Next month.
Next summer.
Look at India, as you were saying, Faisal. Dhadalle se every Mr. World was being born in India. Heard everything. Now India is there. India. What we must learn from India instead of their hideous fashion and teleplays, that their branding strategies, their
Well said.
marketing
Well said.
strategies. You know what, Faisal, I just tell you, they go to the ministries, big companies. 15 years ago, 18 years ago, they started approaching multinationals, big companies, CEOs, and ministries, tourism ministries, to come to India and to host their events in India. And
Or giving the streets of the movies.
yeah,
James Bond.
exactly. They started approaching. And today, look at India.
They're not much better, but they have
No,
they have
they're
a fantastic
not much
perception.
Perception. In today's world.
And that's where we fail.
In today's world, perception is greater than reality.
I'd like to add to it. We're talking about that we don't take pride, collective pride. We don't talk about things. A major problem is people who are sitting on air, or people who sort of are our
I was
voice,
avoiding going there, but please, let's go there.
who are our voice, are silly, don't know what they're talking about, are not well read, cannot argue. What did I see on TV on Eid? What did you have?
God.
What did you have when you were a kid? Did you wear new clothes? Come on, get over it. Why don't you talk about content? There is no content.
That they're your voice.
No. And Aisha, one more
Sorry?
thing.
Whose fault is it that they're your voice? New media
You're beginning to sound like me now.
Aisha, I would like to add something to that. She was saying that people, we don't take pride. No, we do take pride, but in a very wrong sense, we take false pride in all wrong things.
Yeah, we'll have to own up to all the baddies.
We have to own up.
We're just on the good.
No, wrong.
Let me give you
No.
guys a funny
False
example.
pride in wrong things. I can't give you an example right now because there's so many. One, think of one
Just
particular
don't give me
example.
a name, okay? Example.
Okay, every example
name.
involves a
Faisal,
name.
you're gonna say
But
that.
do you understand, Faisal? Do you understand
I
that
do,
we take false
absolutely.
pride?
I agree. Funny example, I'll tell you 2 weeks ago. I tried to look for positive stories in our society. I ran across this gentleman. He's about 23, 22 years old. He's got dysphoria. It's a neurological condition. He's basically paralyzed from the neck down except for having some control of one hand. He's a photojournalist. Okay, amazing guy. Inspiring. I mean, it's unbelievable what he's done. He just had his first exhibition in PC this year. His name is Farooq Mughal. So I went to interview him at one of the very prestigious academic institutions in the city. I won't take their name because you'll get freaked out.
Good way you can take names.
No, it's not. This is not. Listen to
also
me.
take it.
So they would not let me on campus to interview this kid. Huh? They stopped me at the gate.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So they wouldn't let me on campus to interview this kid. That this is not allowed. See, this is the extent to the negativity which has sunk in. So the guy came out. He can't. I mean, he can't walk. He's on a wheelchair. He came out on the road. I interviewed him on the road.
That's sad.
Over there. And can you imagine?
Institution itself is not recognizing him.
Yes. And when it should be proud of individuals like this.
The small, the first where the person is being owned. I mean, he's serving or he's.
And if I would have been interviewing the principal of that academic institution, I would have got.
But see, that's a reflection of what the mindset Mohsin is saying. If it's my good news, it's yeah. If it's your bad news, unko do number.
Exactly. For instance, small things. Jugnu Mohsin called me Friday times and she said, write an article on Pakistani embroideries. We may not take these embroideries, our textiles, with great pride. We may not, but they are. They are because amazing work. And when I started working, no, that's just rural. But the embroideries used in fashion as well.
Sure.
Oh my God, they're far, far superior. But look at India. They have. So I go back to India over and over again because we are very similar, so we can learn many lessons from
That's
them.
the same region.
They,
The subcontinent, same
exactly.
region.
They are attracting, they're luring European fashion houses to send their stuff to get embroidered, and they have big, huge karkhanas.
And we are more capable.
We are so. I don't have words to describe our. Read my article in Friday Times on Friday.
Fine, but no.
But I'm telling
but
you.
I'm taking you beyond. No, but I'm taking you beyond. You have samples.
We have samples.
Well, let's do a show about it.
Let's do a show. You know, our Banto Kazi, the kind of work she's doing, museum quality work at the moment she's doing.
You know, he's absolutely correct. In fact, some of our designers' embroideries have been used in Hollywood films.
Yeah, Maheen.
Maheen Khan.
Okay, but the point is, who has highlighted this? Now, we do. If India, Abu Jani and Sandeep Khosla made her wear a chikankari dress at an Oscar, what's her name? M, who plays M in James Bond.
Yeah.
The name is slipping. And they were all over the place. Okay? Yes. Our embroideries are textile.
But Aisha, my question, when you say we don't...
No, fashion. Just one second. And what is happening? We are killing our craft textile embroidery by importing third-rate stuff from Amritsar across the border, and women here are going crazy.
Oh, I'm wearing Indian.
Yes.
No,
and
I'm just going to comment on one thing about the how are we going to move on with this situation. You know, there's such a stark contrast in the morning shows and in the night shows. What happens on the breakfast shows is all nice and good overdressed ladies talking about food and all kinds of food being cooked, which is being seen by people who can't even afford half of the contents of that food. And what happens at night? The night shows are all about death and violence and
doom and gloom.
Doom and gloom. So what are we looking at? The night shows are for the men, the morning shows are for the women. So we've already created a mental divide at home. So how I feel very strongly that the media really needs to revamp their morning shows in order to educate the women at home. What is the impression of Pakistan that they are getting? They are not going nowhere because they think that's the Pakistan.
So we are creating confusion.
Yes, there's a lot of confusion within the minds of the women. Because if you need to understand who is your, who should we be targeting to address the next generation? The women, because women are the ones who are spending time with the children. Now, if they are going to have that image of society, where they're going to think that all the death and everything is far away from home, it has nothing to do with me. I have to think about all those clothes that the ladies are wearing on the morning show, where the designer's names keep flashing that this designer has made this horrendous dress, this one has made this dress. And, you know, all that gaudy stuff is what everybody wants to wear.
And stuff they can't possibly afford.
No, they can't afford it. And there's a lot of class divide that we are creating, I feel very strongly, because people who are living in the slums and the shanty towns who also watch those shows, I mean, what are we...
So you're really creating a feeling of deprivation.
Yes, and much more deprivation and the desire to create a more criminal society, because they are wanting to have that stuff which is coming on TV.
Strong point.
And the fact is that what image do we create from our morning shows in the whole world? They probably think we're delusional. I mean, come on. I mean, you're showing like fantasy in the morning, and you're showing reality multiplied by 100 times at night.
To be honest, I don't have a problem with any of that. My only problem is they promote extravagance when our society cannot afford extravagance. That I just feel it hurts people.
And the fact that we are Muslim in every matter. We're Muslim in every matter except that when it comes to sadhgi.
No, I'm not saying we should do away with it. You have misunderstood what I'm saying.
No,
what I'm trying to say.
Criminal. That's no justification. If I don't have it, I'll steal it.
No, that's not what
Mohsin, hang on, I'd like to stand with her for a second. It's not a justification. But like I said earlier, people who are loved do better in life. People who are deprived or are brutalized.
Love has got nothing. Love has got nothing to do with it.
No, let me complete. People who are brutalized, they become criminals. It's a global. So if they
I agree.
Hang on.
Brutalize.
But what her point is, and I can stand with her for a moment, this content is brutalizing people, and the
Why?
long-term
How?
effect.
Polarization in society.
And effective sense of deprivation.
Yes, extreme sense.
I mean, you can't
the
afford
class
a shirt.
divide.
I'm showing you $1,000.
This class divide.
I mean,
No.
It's just not about how you dress up, because that show is not only being watched by people in Pakistan, it's also being watched by people outside of Pakistan.
About?
So we
That's where
Right.
so
Well,
the
both
image
sides
is
figure,
there.
that side
If you wear good clothes, I don't think there is a problem with that.
Yeah.
But talk sense.
talk sense.
Talk
You
sense.
have a
talk
right to
good
wear
stuff,
good clothes
and
if you
do
earn
stuff.
that.
This is just a facade.
You have a right.
I'm not going to remember your clothes.
Aspect. I'm talking about the overall
The
format
frivolity of it.
Oh, the frivolity. Let's talk
The
about
frivolity.
the frivolity.
We're having celebrity weddings who are already married again on TV channels
But
of
again,
people who can afford
I
it.
would like to say one more thing, that let's not blame the media only, because somebody is watching those shows.
And they're
Stop
loving
watching.
it. And they're loving
Yeah,
it, and
but
they
you
look
see-
at the ratings.
Take
Mohsin-
responsibility.
Mohsin-
That is the problem, that we do not take responsibility as citizens.
Mohsin, may,
It's a-
may I
it's a
interject? I've
50-50.
said this for 8 years, sitting on this chair, that you're responsible.
Yes.
But now I feel slightly differently. People like you and I are capable of making that choice. When you if I watch, I was watching a show in Siberia yesterday, National Geographic, and I was like, oh my God, this is so beautiful.
Yeah.
So if I project it to that, when they see the glamour and the beauty and the sexiness of the whole thing, they're awestruck. They will watch, because it's a world they can't touch, and they will watch.
No, but
it's for
if
you.
Ghazi Sahab had a book review show, and it was such a flop show because nobody wanted to watch.
Yeah, but that's
So that's the point, because they didn't want to watch it, so they flicked the channel. So they know when to flick the channel. So grow up, take responsibility that we do not want
I'll
to
just
watch.
make a comment on it. I've tried watching the show many times on my days off, and I just can't absorb. Because what happens is, you want to watch something, there is not just that one kind of audience or that one kind of female who wants to only watch that.
okay. We've zeroed in on that. I'll run out of time quickly.
Yeah.
So I'd like to go broad again. Yes, media has to play its role in projecting largely,
But we also have to play our role.
and social media as well. I'd like to take the discussion there.
Not
are we gonna
just
do?
media.
What are we going to do? Well, we are also media. Social media.
No. People.
People, right.
Individuals.
So what is our collective plan with just 6 people sitting in this room? We also have, every one of us holds immense power. Now what's our collective plan? What are we going to do? What can we do?
Like you said before, that we talk about it, and when we go about implementing those plans, we are stopped at every level. We can't really. We do encourage ourselves, but then our superiors or our society, they do tend to stop us, and we can't really implement those things.
But
Whose society?
With the one we have created. We have created, exactly.
No. We are society, because we censor ourselves. We stop ourselves. We listen to those people who are trying to stop
That's
us.
what I'm
Why?
saying.
Why do
we listen to them?
Why?
And then we just stop and sit
Why
back.
do we listen to them when we know that they're wrong?
Yeah.
Why?
But when you said people stop you, who stops us from becoming a collective? Who stops us from having a collective opinion?
Yourself.
Ourselves.
Ourselves. So, yeah.
Ourselves.
No
Your
one else.
pride.
I would
Yeah.
never say I was
Ooh.
Yes.
What?
Because
Our pride.
in order to achieve something, you have to let go of your pride and you have to stoop down sometimes.
And you also have to accept
And they're
that
not
was-
ready to do that.
And you also have to
if an
accept that
AB
somebody else
Saab,
has
if an
achieved
AB Saab was to believe what she just said, he would have never done anything.
No, but when
You
you
know,
said,
I mean, just you can't stop. That's what I keep
You
saying.
can't stop.
Individual-
You're absolutely
Yeah,
right.
you can.
Individual.
Do you think when I was distributing, when we were as a group of friends with no resources of an NGO at our disposal, distributing those ration hampers on the ground, we didn't get stopped? I got calls from people, influentials of that area, that how the hell are you doing this
Yeah.
in my area? Without any political association. I actually got threatened. We got threatened. Does that mean
for
we stopped?
giving rations.
Yes. For helping the poor. I'm telling you the truth. Anytime you change the dynamics of food in a locality, you're taking away power from someone.
Yeah. Lessening their grip on those people.
And then you were not giving them the due share, probably, so that's why they
But
were
that didn't mean
opposing.
that-
But and
Yeah,
Faisal, one more thing, and Faisal, to both Faisal, how many threats do we get in our inboxes? Huh? But if we start listening to those threads,
There's a block button. I've learned that.
there's a block button. And if we start listening to those, and for doing
You'd never leave home.
For doing what?
You'd never leave home if you listen to that.
For saying
So
something.
Faisal's point is right. It's not going to stop you. It's not going to scare you away. Please, Aisha, go on.
This Eid, after everything that's happened, I made a personal pledge. Today, when I'm going to go back on Twitter, I'm going to start a hashtag saying Pledge Pakistan. This 14 August till the next 14 August, I'm giving myself 1 year's time that I need to do something for my country. And this is a personal little thing, can be anything.
One act of random.
Yeah, whatever. But see, again, we are talking about standing up and speaking, aren't we, Mohsin?
Of course, just
Perhaps you can help me
is also
and
doing
retweet
something
that.
in this society. It's hugely political if you speak up against all these.
I've got about 5 minutes. I want your closing notes as well. And I'd like to also just say my humble opinion. Single act of random kindness is all lovely things. As decent people, we should just be kind all the time, always.
Citizens.
So we don't have to have the single acts. I feel
those who are not doing it, चलो
Well,
एक कुछ तो कर लो कहते हैं ना जैसे बड़े लोग कहते हैं ना
That's-
कुछ
okay.
कर लो.
I'd like to say this, and I'd like your closing comments quickly. I believe if Faisal Kapadia does something right, in our society, the biggest problem which separates Indo-Pak subcontinent with the rest of the world is when somebody does something nice, nobody stands with him.
Yeah.
When someone does something bad, people stand with him in his support. Hear me? And when he comes under attack for doing something good, we do not take a stand for this man. I say that from personal experience, and Faisal knows I'm saying it from personal experience. What I would like to see happening is if Mohsin Sayeed does something right, everyone should stand with him. So he does not feel alone in doing the right.
I don't feel alone. There are lots of people.
Sure, but generally speaking, please. Then you close your notes as well.
Lots of people.
I think the best thing we can do as individuals, and like you were saying in the beginning, opinion makers, if you could call us that, is to take one positive thing per week and discuss it. Just talk about it. There are lots of positives. If you look, there are kids who started this campaign in Lahore where they would go out and feed water to the policemen standing in the sun. I mean, talk about
one beautiful thing to do.
Yes, one positive
Karachi,
That's all you need.
38 or 42 degrees Celsius and kids are distributing cold water.
One positive a week and you will change the national narrative.
I'll say something about that in the end, and I'll hold you accountable for that.
I think that in my nature of work, where I work with teachers, because teacher training
Oh
is
God,
one of our
you
big
just
thing.
want. You're the
And
culprit.
I think that one thing that we always do, because we have a very famous poem by Dorothy Law Knowles, which is enlarged and placed everywhere in our schools, and that is about if you teach children tolerance, they grow up to be tolerant. So this is, I think, one of the biggest contributions that we can make in schools, especially about not just taking them to Darus Sukoon on an excursion, but making them understand that what is global dignity, what does dignity mean. It's not just a celebration or giving gifts to the poor, it is about empowering the people to understand their rights. Because this is the first issue in Pakistan that most of our masses don't know their rights. Pedestrians don't know their rights, drivers don't know their rights, consumers don't know their rights.
Know their rights. I know it more than that. Okay,
Aisha, close it.
Well, I think you said it all. But again, one thing that came out is we're bad marketers. We need to stand up and we need to really create an image. That's it.
Yeah, I agree with Narjis, and I agree with everyone on this only, that we must stand up and collectively do something instead of just individual approach.
And one more thing I'd like to add, what she said, we have to teach our children, we have to surround them with love and happiness, but we can only teach them about the concepts of dignity and tolerance by practicing, by being dignified, by being tolerant, by being truthful.
So you talked about sharing good stories. As long
One positive thought a week.
As long as I've got the voice and the camera and the seat, I offer you. I've given a day a week to Sadar Manullah, the CEO Jalit, who supports a lot of NGOs. He comes here every week. introduces 4 NGOs, and we talk about what they're doing, how we can help them. Take this opportunity, use this platform, share those stories with us. We'll give you the 15 minutes every week. Get on the phone, get on Skype, come here, share a story.
Why don't you give me that opportunity?
You're here anyways all the time. Thank you very much, all of you. It was mentioned, understand your rights. Very aptly said in the end. Today is 12th of August. In 2 days, we will be celebrating our independence, freedom. We are a free society. I'll talk more tomorrow and day after tomorrow about that, but just a quick note. Freedom does not mean we're free to destroy ourselves. It does not mean we're free to hurt ourselves. Democracy is not freedom. You can elect dictators, no big deal. Freedom means that you're free to hold yourself accountable. You're not bound by shackles or orders to behave in a certain way. What you do, what you say, you are responsible for it because you're free. Eid Mubarak and in advance, Happy Independence Day. We'll talk more about it inshallah tomorrow and the day after. Until next time, good night.